Hey, hi guys, welcome back to my channel and the new episode. Today we are starting a new topic that is called hypothesis testing, right? So for those who are new to the channel and watching this video for the first time on my channel, this is my brief introduction in front of your screen. My name is Pranav Gandhi. I work as a trainer and consultant, and my total industry experience is 22 plus years. These are the various domains in which I have worked on in the last 22 years, and these are some of the credentials and certifications, right? And these are all my contact details. You can see at the bottom page, at the bottom of the page, right? So this is my LinkedIn profile, my email ID, my Facebook page, and my contact number, right? So today we are going to start a new topic, and that is, as I said, called hypothesis testing. Okay, hypothesis testing is done for statistical analysis, so it is a part of statistical analysis. So till now what we have seen, some of the basic level concepts of basic statistics, and this is again another part of the statistical analysis, which is called hypothesis testing. So let us understand first, what do we mean by hypothesis? What is hypothesis? Right? So hypothesis is nothing but assumptions, right? When we say hypothesis, this is nothing but assumptions. And we have already seen the inferential statistics. In one of the videos, we have learned, in the sampling frame video, we have learned how to do inferential, or what is inferential statistics, what is the meaning of inferential statistics, right? So what happens basically, we will be always having the data given to us, and that data is called as a sample data. So we take this data, we apply some sampling frames on it, and then with those sampling frames, means logic, right, we collect this sample data from the population. So when we have a sample data from the population, what we do is we do the statistical analysis on this. Right? So something like, as I always take an example of, because everybody is familiar with it, that when the election time comes, you know, a lot of exit polls and post-poll surveys will be done. And for those surveys, you know, some samples will be taken from different areas. And then whatever their opinion is there, okay, that will be inferred. Okay, after doing the statistical analysis on that particular sample data survey, okay, that will be inferred on the population, saying that the population is going to vote this or this party in the coming election. But in fact, had they taken the opinions from all the population people, or all the people available in the population? No, they have done it on sample data. Likewise, in industry, let us take an example of a manufacturing company. What happens whether it is manufacturing nut and bolts, whether it is manufacturing shoes, whether it is manufacturing t-shirts, whether it is manufacturing utensils, etc., any product, okay, and if it is an automatic plant or irrespective of automatic plant, but let us understand that machine manufacturing is happening over here, right? So the performance of the machine, need to be checked from time to time. And to check that performance of the machine, whether the machine is producing exactly whatever amount of products expected out of it or not. Okay, suppose we are expecting at least average 1000 shoes to be manufactured by machine A, right? So I used average over here. Now this is my population parameter, right? So I need to check whether it is producing those 1000 shoes or not, okay? And based on that, if it is not, so there are various machines, and based on that, my decision is going to be whether a machine requires maintenance or not, right? So what happened always when we do the statistical analysis on sample, we infer it onto the population, or many a times it also happens that I have to take some decisions, and those decisions are based on some statements, some some parameters rather, right? So when we perform the hypothesis testing as an statistical analytical tool on the given sample data, basically what we do is, there are some procedures, okay? What are those procedures? Number one is, we first have to write our hypothesis statement. This hypothesis statement have further two parts. One is called as null hypothesis and the other is called as alternate hypothesis, which is denoted respectively by HO and HA, okay, or H0 and HA. So this is my null hypothesis and this is my alternate hypothesis. Now by writing this statement, what I am doing over here is, the meaning of this statement is no action statement or no action condition, and this will be my action condition. What is the meaning of this no action and action condition again? Suppose if I do any analysis on my sample and I come up with some inferential statistical decision making statements for my population or about my population, what importantly I am saying over here is, if suppose my machine needs a maintenance, then it has to be either this condition to be satisfied or this condition to be satisfied. So when I do the test, I get something called as p-value, which is also called as probability value. So when I say in my action statement that if my average number of products to be produced are equal to some amount, which is my expected amount, then I don't need to do maintenance. Right? And if my average is not equal to that XYZ amount of product or number of product, instead of amount, let us say number, whatever XYZ number will be there, right? So if it is not equal to this number, then I need to take some decision whether to do the maintenance or to replace the machine, right? Because if I am expecting 500 products, okay, as a satisfactory result of the production of the machine, and if the machine is producing 425 products, which means there is some fault in the machine, or if there is a possibility that machine may producing 525 products. So at times there is a possibility that I am okay with this if it is producing, but then if it is hampering my quality, then again it is a problem. So in both the cases, it depends on what is my action statement. It depends on what is my action statement, okay? Whether I want it to be exactly same, whether I want it to be greater than something or less than something. Based on that, I'm going to take some action, right? So those statements are called as alternative statements, denoted by HA. And status quo statement or no action statements are called as null hypothesis. Now what happens, like let me give you one more example. Suppose you, after becoming a data scientist and all, or you are writing a model, okay, and your model is about to predict something. So let's take an example. Suppose you have written a model of cancer detection. Right? So people are coming up and giving their reports to you, and on those medical report there are few numbers. This is medical report, so there are some numbers, okay? So those numbers you put in your model, and your model is going to detect whether the person is actually having a cancer or not having a cancer. So I am saying here this is actual condition and these are my predictions, right? So actually any person who is having a cancer, or he may not be having a cancer, this is actual condition of that particular person. But after feeding the numbers from the report, okay, my model has predicted whether the person is having a cancer or not in this way. So when a person is having a cancer and my model is predicting it that yes, you are having a cancer, which means my model is making a correct decision or correct prediction. Similarly, when a person is not having a cancer and my model is predicting that no, you are not having a cancer, then again my model has taken a correct decision or correct prediction. Now when a person is not having a cancer, and if my model is saying that you are having a cancer, which means my model is making some kind of error. And the one person is having a cancer and my model is saying no, you are not having a cancer, which means again my model is making an error. Now in such scenario, what happens? I am getting two errors, but one of these errors is going to be the severe than the other. Now obviously the person who is having a cancer and model is saying that you are not having a cancer, that is going to be the dangerous error, because if the person don't go for another test, okay, he may happily live at his home, and probably one day he will die, because it was a wrong prediction given by model. Similarly, the person who is not having a cancer, if the model is saying that you are having a cancer, means that person will go and do another test. Okay, so which means that this error is not as severe error as this, and that is why the severe error is always denoted by alpha, okay, and this error is always denoted by beta. Now when I say that we write hypothesis statement, that is null hypothesis, and alternate hypothesis, when we perform a test, we get something called as p-value, as I said earlier, that is the probability value. So when I have a sample data, I provide it to my algorithm. My algorithm then perform the test, statistical test internally, and it comes up with this result, which is called as probability value or p-value. Okay. Now this p-value, if it is, if the p-value of my test, if it is greater than this of my alpha, then we say we have, for this data, particular data, whatever data we have, we are going to take examples also, don't worry friends, okay, just try to understand the concept over here. Okay, so we say that whenever my p-value is high, my null flies. Null fly is, another meaning of this is, I accept H0, or it is also written as fail to reject null hypothesis, which means I am going by this statement. Whatever statement will be there at null hypothesis. Maybe machine maintenance not required. Right? Now in case if the result of this testing is giving me lower p-value than alpha, then I say my p-value for the given data after doing the hypothesis testing is low, and that is why my slang goes like my p is low, so my null go, which means I reject null hypothesis. I reject null hypothesis, or I accept alternate hypothesis. So from this, what we are coming up is, there are three things. One is, I will be having a sample data. Of course, I will be having a business problem first, sorry. I will be having a business problem. I will be first having a business problem. I will be having a sample data for that business problem. This data I provide, so I do a hypothesis testing. I do a hypothesis test on my sample data, right? And when I do the hypothesis test, I get the p-value. I compare this p-value with the alpha value, and if, then comes the slang. I check with the slang. So what is my slang over here? P high, null fly, P low, null go. Meaning, in simple terms, fail to reject null hypothesis or accept or reject null hypothesis. P low, null go means reject null hypothesis. Null should go. Goodbye, tata. And when I say null fly means null is winning over here. Okay, so I cannot reject null hypothesis in such condition. So with these slangs, I will check which slang this result is fitting to, and accordingly I will accept or reject null hypothesis or alternate hypothesis. This is what all about the hypothesis testing. As a maybe the basic level understanding, or those who don't want to dwell more into statistical side of it. Okay, and all these tests basically happens internally. Okay, hypothesis tests are internal things to be done by my algorithms. So whether I am writing a linear regression, classification, etc., etc. So whatever algorithms we are going to learn, okay, whenever we feed the data to it, okay, it internally does this hypothesis testings, okay, and in that the most important terminology is p-value or probability value. Now the question remains over here at the fifth stage, when we are asking to compare it, the p-value which we have got through the hypothesis test, we have to compare it with alpha, which is my dangerous error. Or the biggest mistake which I can do if I take a decision. Now this alpha value is always given to me, most of the times, okay, not always, most of the times given to me by the management of the company or my client, or for whom I am working for the project on. But generally, by industry standard, alpha stands at 0.05, which means I can make 5% error when I'm trying to give you, or when I want to take an action. Okay, so I can make maximum 5% mistake. But as we have seen while learning the confidence interval, okay, there is 95% confidence interval, 90% confidence interval, 99% confidence interval. These are some of the industry standards, right? So here my alpha is 0.05, which is nothing but 5%. So this is the industry standard for hypothesis testing. But if I want to change it based on the management decision or client, अगर बोलता है कि नहीं, you can have what you can say, the broader confidence interval, or the alpha value can be increased further, maybe to 10%, okay, then you can calculate or do the test for 90%. We can even go for 80%, okay, but the industry standard is 0.05%. So always whenever we get a business problem, the alpha value will be given to us. If not given to us, then we have to assume it to be 0.05, right? So in this hypothesis testing, these are the different tests available, right? So we have something called as one sample Z test, one sample T test. So what is the difference between Z test and T test? We have seen it already, right? When the population parameter sigma is not known to me, if it is known to me, I will go for Z. If it is not known to me, then I will go for T test, right? So there are one sample Z test. One sample means if I want to do the analysis of marks scored by the students, okay, in maths, then what happened? Maybe 20, 30, 35, 67, 45, like these scores are there with me for each and every student. Now this becomes my single sample. So if I am having a single sample, I will go always for one sample test. But if suppose I am having marks for maths and English, and there are some scores again, right? Now what happened over here? I am having two different samples, right? So in that case, I will go for two sample test. So there are again two sample T test, paired T test, Mann-Whitney test, okay. Then there will be one-way ANOVA, okay. We are going to explain, do the explanation of this in detail. There is Moore's median, Kruskal values, okay. So these are some of the tests which belongs to when my variable is continuous, or the data given to me for the analysis purpose is having continuous values in it. I perform all these tests. If I am having a discrete data, then I will go for these tests, something like 1 proportion, 2 proportion, proportion test and chi-square test, right? So we are going to see some of the major tests, okay, which are very famous, and instead of famous I would use the word like mostly used in the industry, okay. Those tests we are going to see, but I'm going to show you the business problems, the examples, okay, of all the tests, okay, for that matter. So this is what we have just discussed, right? Fail to reject null hypothesis, type 1 error or alpha error, okay. This is called beta error, right? So this is how hypothesis testing will be done, and these are some of the examples to do the practice of writing the hypothesis statement. So let us take a couple of examples from here. Suppose this is my business problem. The retail market will grow by 50% in next 5 years. If this is my business problem, based on this statement, this is not problem actually, this is a statement. So based on this statement, I want to make some decision. So what kind of decision I may be interested in after reading this statement? The retail market will grow by 50% in the next 5 years. So definitely, if I am a investor, okay, I would like to invest in that particular industry, right? So assuming that I am an institutional investor or equity investor, okay, I would write a statement like this. So my null hypothesis, which is no action condition, I would write it like if on an average retail market will grow by, now here comes the conditional statements, right? If it is growing less than 50%, then I am not going to take any action. But if it is going to grow greater than 50%, then I am going to take action, right? So I am assuming this. Okay, hypothesis is all about assumptions. So I am assuming over here, being an investor, so I am writing a null hypothesis in this way. If on an average retail market will grow less than 50%, then I will not invest. So maintaining a status quo, no action condition, right? But if on an average retail market is growing, or retail market will grow greater than 50%, then I will invest, right? So it is a action condition, action statement. So मैं action कब लूँगा investment की? अगर retail market 50% से ज़्यादा बढ़ रहा है तो ही मैं action लूँगा. Otherwise I am not going to take any action, right? So here one thing we have to make sure that the equal to symbol will always remain with our null hypothesis. This equal to symbol. So my null hypothesis statement is actually should be, if on an average retail market will grow by or grow less than or equal to 50%. Okay, my equal to symbol will never come to alternate hypothesis. This is important. But this less than and greater than symbols can interchange, as because my decision making at times maybe when something is reducing, I may take a decision, something like if the interest rates are reducing, then I may take a decision of breaking the FD and invest it into the gold or invest it into the stock market, right? So when something is reducing, I may take a decision, I may take action, or when something is increasing, I may take action. So less than and greater than statement can interchange the positions over here depending upon the my purpose, my business problem. Based on my business problem, they will interchange, but equal to symbol will always remain with null hypothesis. This is very important thing to understand. Now let us take this example. Less than 5% clients will default on their loans. Now we are talking about a financial institution or a bank or something like that. So the statement is like this: less than 5% people or client will default on their loans. Means if suppose my idea is to, if I think in this way that I want to start a recovery department, for my bank, okay? So null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis. This is no action condition, this is action condition. So when I will take an action, if it is greater than 5%, I will take action, right? So I will start recovery department for my bank or in my bank if default percentage is greater than 5%. I will not start recovery department if default percentage is less than or equal to 5%. right? So this may be the condition that if it is greater than 5%, I will start a recovery department. Or with the same statement, I may have a different business problem, something like maybe starting what you can say, or starting or venturing into giving loans or something. So a lending, maybe lending company, starting a lending company. I want to venture into the business of giving money to the people. So if I want to take this decision, if I want to start this business, when I will start it? I will only start, so I will venture into money lending if default percentage is less than 5%, and my null hypothesis will be I will not venture into money lending if default percentage is greater than or equal to 5%. Now what happens, friends, over here? Look at this. This is my null hypothesis over here, and this is my alternate hypothesis over here. Whereas this is my alternate hypothesis over here, and this is my null hypothesis. So my less than or equal to symbols have interchanged. Less than or greater than symbol have interchanged. Equal to symbol remains always with null hypothesis, right? And based upon my business problem, or based upon my purpose for which I am doing the test and feeding the data to the algorithm to get that p-value, which I will then compare with my alpha error, right? So which means that if I am making, suppose my alpha value or p-value over here is 0.02%, and I am doing the test for this, I feed the data. The meaning of this is my 0.02 is less than 0.05, which means my p value is low. So I will say null shall go, which means I will take the decision over here because my p value is low, which means the mistake I may make, okay, is less than 0.05%. And that is why if I am making a lesser mistake than 0.05%, okay, I can take the action. If I am making a greater mistake, if my p value is 0.57, which is greater than 0.05, if it is the case of the result of my hypothesis testing, then in such scenario my p high, so null fly. Null fly means I respect null hypothesis, I will go with null hypothesis. So if my data which I am going to feed, okay, after doing the test, if I am getting this p value, then I will stick to my null hypothesis, right? So this is how we interpret the hypothesis testing, right? So going forward, what we will do, there are two different flow charts which we are going to see, okay? So one flow chart will be for when my data is discrete, and one flow chart when my data is continuous, right? So we will discuss this in our next video, right? So today we have discussed about what is hypothesis testing, how to interpret it, what is the interpretation, what is p-value, what is null hypothesis. So today basically what we have covered? We have covered number one, what is hypothesis testing, okay, what is null hypothesis, what is alternate hypothesis, what is p-value, and what is alpha and beta error. Okay, in that also this is very significant error, right? And then we do the comparison between this p-value and alpha, and then we interpret it and take the decision, right? So that's it for today's session, guys. I hope you would have liked this video. If you have really liked the video, please hit the like button, and if you are new to my channel, please subscribe the YouTube channel and hit the bell icon so that you will not miss any of the updated videos or updatings or any of the new videos I am going to publish, learning videos, right? I do also have a Facebook page. Okay, the link for the same will be provided in the description of this video, and in fact it is there in all the videos description, right? And you can also try to connect me through LinkedIn profile. Okay, details of that also will be shared in the same description. Okay, and I have also created one WhatsApp button for my Facebook page, so anyone who wants to directly connect with me can connect it through by doing the WhatsApp to me, or otherwise commenting or messaging is through any of the medium like Facebook, LinkedIn, or even in the YouTube video. Okay, all options are open to you. Please do provide your suggestions, your guidance, and your feedback basically. Okay, if you are liking the videos, or if there are some changes to be done, maybe in the style of presentation or whatnot, right? So your suggestions and feedbacks are also welcome. All right then, thank you very much. Bye bye, see you, take care.